Hey guys, it's Monday, February 27th, and this is Newswave. So guys, we had our first look at our first review for Zelda Breath of the Wild, and unsurprisingly, it got a 10 out of 10. This is courtesy of Edge magazine. Of course, they have to put the review out earlier since the embargo does lift this week. I believe it's March 1st, so that would be actually very soon, in 2 days. And the magazines, of course, get the reviews happened. This gets sent out. It just happened to be looked at early by a NeoGAF user and shared that it did get a 10 out of 10 from Edge. Edge did give Neo and Horizon Zero Dawn a 9 out of 10. So Breath of the Wild seems to get a perfect score, which is not given out. It's not usually given out. Usually perfect scores are saved for rare occasions. In this case, I guess Breath of the Wild is that rare occasion. It looks great. It's been talked about by several people in their previews as being the Zelda game that you want to play, that is like, it's like the definitive Zelda game to date, so I am excited to play it. We're going to find out more reviews in the next couple days. The scary thing is we're probably going to find out more spoilers as well, so just like I said before, be careful out there, guys. And we actually got an early look. This is very weird. I guess it just got uploaded randomly because this is over on NeoGAF. We actually have an early look at E3 2017, how the floor plan is going to be. Of course, we all know about E3. It's where all the developers, all the companies gather, share their latest games and technologies and everything, and it's a really, really cool time for gamers everywhere because there is so much stuff packed into like 3 or 4 days. And what we did was, after we got the look at the floor plan, it was pretty obvious as to which companies were going to be bringing it this year. So the big three are going to be there, obviously, Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo. And in this case, Nintendo is going big, and so is Sony, but Microsoft, strangely, seems to be playing it kind of conservative here and getting a very small amount of the floor space. So Microsoft is in the South Hall this year, according to this chart. Usually they're in the West Hall with the other two. In this case, though, they're only taking up 15,000 square feet, which isn't much especially when we look at the other two. So the other two being Nintendo and Sony each are taking up 3 spaces for a total of 32,000 square feet for Nintendo and 37,500 square feet for Sony, which means they're showing up with a lot of stuff, whereas Microsoft, I know, is showing up with Scorpio. I think we all know that by now because they've done nothing but talk about Scorpio. It just doesn't look like they're showing up with a lot of stuff, maybe not as many games. Obviously, Nintendo, we know at this point, has a very loaded roster for E3. I mean, they have so many games that will be coming out in the summertime or fall, or are not even announced yet, that we have a feeling is coming. Things like Metroid come to mind, Pokemon come to mind, and the list goes on. I mean, we'll see probably gameplay for things like Xenoblade there, and it's going to be a great time. Sony, of course, always has a ton of games in the works. Looks like they have a lot coming out this year as well, but Microsoft has been very quiet on the first-party support. Now, they will, of course, piggyback onto third-party, the press conferences and stuff that are happening. Obviously, they'll jump in with EA, they'll jump in with Ubisoft, and so on. But right now, it looks very odd for Microsoft to only have less than half the space as the other two. So it looks like this E3, we will have, despite Microsoft bringing technically a new console there, I guess, we'll have Nintendo and Sony actually probably battling it out for 1 or 2 for best showing this year. And surprising to most of us who are used to how Nintendo usually runs things, we're getting an indie event tomorrow, the 28th. It's going to be from 9 a.m. Pacific or 12 p.m. my time till whenever. I will stream it, so if you want to come on the channel and watch it with me, you can. I will start probably about 10 minutes before it actually goes live so we can get everyone in the room, and I'll just go until I have to leave for work, which gives me about an hour and a half, so it's not too bad. And I'm hoping we'll see some really cool indies there. I don't know if we have any announced. I know they're going to spend time with indies, so they'll show us gameplay. I'm sure we'll see things like Fast RMX there, which obviously looks really good, and then others. So what a cool move by Nintendo just to keep supporting the indies. I think the Switch is going to be the indie system like this generation coming up. It's going to be it. Like, go to Nintendo Switch, build your indie, put it out, and I mean, if you have so many indies going there, you're going to hit a home run probably eventually with one as well. So this is some really weird news. This happened yesterday for some reason, but Target actually seemed to leak the sequel to Shadow of Mordor. Now, we've known for a while, because it's not a very well-kept secret, that Warner Bros. Has been talking about putting out the sequel to Shadow of Mordor. Shadow of Mordor was a really good game. If you have not played it, and you have an opportunity to get it at a good price, I would go pick it up. Honestly, that game's worth at least $30, I'd say, even though now it's pretty cheap. You can find it. I was just at Walmart, and they had it for like 20 bucks on the bargain bin rack. I would get it. It's a great game, a very cool open world game. It's a lot of fun. The Nemesis system is really cool. Just make sure you're getting it on the PS4 or the Xbox One so you can take advantage of that Nemesis system. Anyway, Target actually posted big shots of the box art for the new sequel, Shadow of War. Now, along with the box art, they also gave us some information to the game, which includes them bringing back the Nemesis system, which is awesome. Like I said before, the Nemesis system was really cool. And there's some other things like new stronghold mechanics, special abilities, things like that. But overall, we have the box art. It looks pretty good, and Target put it out. It's not like some random website that sells games put it out. So I think it's pretty definitive this is happening. From what I've heard, Warner Bros. Has wanted to announce this game early March, and they just got beaten to market by a retailer that will inevitably sell their game. Very, very weird stuff, but I'm excited because, like I said, Shadow of Mordor was good. If you haven't played it, go get it. This is Shadow of War, the sequel by Warner Bros. I would look to have it announced sooner than later now that it's actually leaked out. So we've talked about the ZeniMax and the Oculus lawsuit a lot recently, and I mentioned before that ZeniMax might try to block the sales of the Oculus Rift with an injunction. And they're doing that. They apparently have now filed an injunction to stop sales of the Oculus Rift. This is a pretty big deal. Now, they've already won at least their suit of $500 million. I don't know if it's still pending an appeal, but it seems pretty definitive they will probably win that $500 million. But apparently that wasn't enough. And they're going to try to block at least the sales of Oculus Rift in its current form with its current underlying code and everything. I'm not really sure what Oculus does here, what Facebook does, because if they cannot stop that, they will have to start over with Oculus and make sure, or at least definitively prove, that there's no underlying code that was developed at ZeniMax under their watch with that NDA. So they would have to go back to the drawing board and restart at least underlying code for Oculus. Now, of course, they won't have to probably redesign the devices. They'll just have to start coding from scratch, which is a big deal. That takes a while to get that figured out. I mean, they've been building on that code for a long time. And if this injunction goes through, which there's a strong case for it to go through, that's not good for Oculus. That's a huge blow to VR, because now you have the Vive and the PlayStation VR. Oculus was a big driving force with people like John Carmack behind it. So I'm not sure what Oculus does now. If they can block it, great. If they can prove that they're not using the code, there you go, you're fine. I don't know. This is such a weird case that just will not seem to end despite $500 million being paid out. And here we go. We get more news about the Switch games, and I'm very excited because it's pricing. Now, I've been talking up Fast RMX for, man, how long have I been talking about this game? I've been talking about how great it looks. Like I said, I got some good footage of it and saw it in person at the event, the DC event. Looked great. I was concerned about pricing maybe being a little higher than I'd like it to be. Turns out it's $20. Guess what? It's a launch game. What? It's a launch game? That's amazing. We actually get this game at launch for $20. Snipper Clips also coming at launch, $20. And there's going to be a demo for Snipper Clips. How insane is that? It seems like it's been forever since I've actually downloaded a demo straight up, like when the game comes out and you can just download a demo and play it. How cool is that? I mean, the game looks interesting and at least different, but the fact that I can just get on there, download what I assume to be a gig worth of a demo, probably the full game, and then you just unlock it, it's awesome. I could just grab it, try it out. If I like it, great, I'll buy it. It's $20 too. Shovel Knight, also going to be there at launch. So for $60, this is ridiculous, by the way, $60, you can get Fast RMX, Snipper Clips, Shovel Knight. That is some ridiculous value for your money. Shovel Knight, amazing game. Fast RMX looks fun. Snipper Clips looks different and interesting. I'll have that. I'll probably get all three of them. Like I said, I was going to get Shovel Knight anyway, just because it's Shovel Knight and I like that game. And Snipper Clips looks interesting. I feel like I could actually probably play that game with my wife and she might actually like it. And then Fast RMX looks like the F-Zero that I want on the system, so this is awesome. So I also want to mention that we found out about the Fast RMX pricing with an interview with Nintendo Everything. They also went over things like how there's going to be 30 tracks. There will be different control customizations where you can actually change the controls on the fly while you're playing. They will have it set up for things with single Joy-Cons. So you could probably, I guess, pass one off to another person and two players can play then, which is awesome. Pro controller support. HD Rumble support, which is interesting. They're going to cover HD Rumble like perfectly, apparently. So when you bang into a wall, you'll actually feel exactly where on your ship it hits. And what a great sounding launch title here for our Fast RMX. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And maybe we can actually do some online racing with you guys. I think that'll be a really, really fun time. And our last bit of news, guys, it turns out PlayStation VR is selling better than even Sony thought. It actually hit 915,000 units moved through. That was February 19th. So on one side, we have Oculus, which is just struggling to be allowed to just sell their units. And then we have PlayStation VR actually doing well. I think PlayStation VR at least should do better than both Vive and Oculus because it's supported by a system that you do not have to build like a custom computer. You just buy a PlayStation 4, you buy the VR unit, and you're good to go. You don't have to mess around with drivers or settings or optimizing it through code or anything crazy like that. You get it. You play the very limited, by the way, amount of games, although Resident Evil 7 is there, so that's at least something. But you play the very limited amount of games, and you have fun with it, I guess. You don't have to toy around with it too much. Now, I still hold firm that the VR ecosystem has a place in education. I think that would be great if you have things like Vives or Oculus Rifts in a classroom where students can visit different locations and the teachers can pretty much lecture while they're standing in Rome or Italy or wherever. You know, they could visit the Great Plains, or they could go to Australia or whatever, and they can just talk about different historical things while they're actually standing there. They can go back in time to the Civil War and talk about the Civil War while they're standing in the middle of a battlefield. Some cool ideas with VR, but I think it's going to be better suited for something like an educational experience rather than a gameplay experience, although sure, it'll still be fun with gameplay, why not? And that's it for Newswave today, guys. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know what you think about any of the stuff we talked about today, including the perfect 10 out of 10 Zelda Breath of the Wild score. I'm excited for it. I think you guys are too, if you're getting the Switch, or if you have a Wii U. It looks like it's going to be an awesome game, the Zelda game I've always wanted, and I am looking forward to it. Let me know what you think about the indie event coming up tomorrow. Will you stop by and check out the live stream? And is there any certain indie game you want to see more about? Maybe it is Fast RMX. Maybe you want to see more about that. Or maybe you want to see more about Snipper Clips or any other one, guys. Let me know down below. I will see you next time.